So, Highland Rise Podcast, I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
Throwback Thursday, recorded on a Thursday, posted on a Monday.
Bam, boom, pow. I give that 5 booms. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Done. 6.
Hey,
For the shits and giggles,
6
yeah.
booms.
6
Yeah.
booms. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
We're continuing to chat about Bringing the Horizon here. We're coming up very close to the end.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
It's almost over. Next week will be the final week of digging into the discography because we have already spoken about the most recent record, and that is linked down below. Posthuman Next Gen. We chatted about it when it came out last year, so we will not be revisiting it. It is way too soon. So we're ending off with Posthuman Survival Horror, which I'm very excited to dig back into that.
Me too. I don't really remember much of it except for Obey, which I feel like I bring up every time you bring it up. I'm like, yes, I loved Obey. Great EP.
Yeah, that was my favorite release of 2020. So I'm very excited to dive back into it because I burned the ever living hell out of it, and honestly haven't went back to it. Check it out occasionally, but it'll be my first time diving into it in a minute. And we've spoken about all the previous records. Everything is linked down below. But today we're chatting about their 2019 album, Amo. Very excited to dig into this one. Album fucking rips, dude.
Album absolutely. It rips. You know what? I was gonna say it's okay, but compared to That's the Spirit, I think it's a lot more. It's a lot more digestible. It's not as much of a shock, like a cold plunge, as That's the Spirit is. And I guess you can't have Amo without That's the Spirit. So it kind of like set me out so far that Amo still feels a little bit closer to home with kind of their original sound and the stuff that they were doing before, and the stuff that they've already put out that I'm familiar with. Their most recent record and Posthuman Survival is what I'm referring to. I think that this record's great. It caught me off guard the first time I listened to it. Firstly, because it went by so quickly. It's another hour record, which is the consistent number in their discography. 30 minutes is not enough for Bring Me the Horizon, which honestly, not mad at. I've enjoyed every single record, even with That's the Spirit being the one kind of like fucking wrench tossed in the cog. Is that the right thing? I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. The one little speed bump for me.
Yeah.
Even then, with it still being kind of it was still a great record. And I mean, held against so many other records that were put out against that time, I do think it's up in the top 5. Amo, sorry, not ammo, there's only one M, is an album. I read up on a couple interviews just to kind of see where his headspace was at and what the kind of intentions were with this record. This record covers him dealing with his first marriage. He was cheated on a couple times in that marriage, and it hurt him a lot. I think they're like chill now. I don't know. But his interview, he seemed very just like completely fine with talking about it. It didn't, at least it was all red. So obviously you can pick up and you can miss emotions through text. So you can either misinterpret or interpret them the completely, fucking vanilla way. But I didn't pick up any anger or any resentment in it. You definitely pick up some sadness though in some of these lyrics. Especially in the dark, there's a line where he's like, don't swear to God, don't swear to God you didn't stab him in the back. He's not the one you stabbed in the back. He's not the one whose like heart you ripped through his chest or something. I was like, fuck. I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
Ollie, okay, fuck. So that is the main theme of the record, is him kind of dealing and processing with, losing a very big relationship in his life. What's great though is he also has his wife, his new wife, or I think it was girlfriend at the time when this was happening. I think they got married after the record. He named the record after her, basically. It is Amo, Te Amo. It is love in her mother tongue. Shout out mother tongue on the record. Fuck, I feel like I'm this is so jaggered right now. I'm so sorry. His intentions with the album title. I thought this was really cool because all the other ones were kind of like spelled out for you. That's the spirit. I mean, everything to me was just kind of like, okay, I can kind of understand that. I never really understood why Amo was the title.
Mhm.
Was it because love can be a weapon and comforting?
Yeah.
So that's why it's Amo. And I went, oh fuck, that's actually fucking awesome. That's really cool. Um, I'll let you say, record covers a lot of bases. It has a lot of EDM moments. It has metal. It has a lot of pop. Not even just in the sound, but just also in the arrangements, which is really cool. They still have a little bit of strings, but not as much as before, which I did miss out on because the strings and the kind of orchestra bits and sections were always my favorite on their last couple records, even in That's the Spirit. Those it just always stands out because it's something you don't hear super often in the alternative metal scene.
Mhm.
That's why I like Imminence so much because that's just their thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's like Bring Me the Horizon's best parts, but as a band, you know? So it's like, of course I'm gonna fucking stream the hell out of Imminence. Shout out Imminence. Shout out their album The Black. Great fucking record. So it goes a lot of places.
Mhm.
When this originally came out, I was in the scene and I was very aware of Bring Me the Horizon. I was in that circle already. I personally, I think I did listen to this when it first came out, but I was just like, this isn't good because it's not 21 Pilots. So then I just like didn't listen to it again.
That
Um,
that checks out.
exactly, because it's 2019. That was like my peak,
Yeah.
21 Pilots era. Um, I remember I was also on Twitter at that time, awful time. Uh, and I remember seeing a lot of mixed reviews. It was either you love this record or you absolutely hate it. And a lot of people were still blaming Jordan Fish for the sound change. It's almost like none of the other guys have any say in the sound, and it's all Jordan Fish.
Mhm.
It, they all, Ollie has been saying that he wants to change up the record and the sound ever since what's the one with the girl holding shit?
Suicide Season.
Suicide Season. Ever since Suicide Season, Ollie was like, I never want to make a record like the one before.
Mhm.
Then Jordan Fish came in, Sempiternal, That's the Spirit, Ammo. So you guys need to stop fucking blaming Mr. Fish for this shit, man, because he didn't have like I'm sure he's a driving factor for it, and I'm sure he's pushing for it the most and kind of being the most experimental. But it's what the other guys wanted as well.
Mhm.
They're all happy with the decision. We need to stop fucking just chill, chill. Holy shit, it's just fucking annoying. Um, they have a couple features on here. One of them is with Grimes, which
Mhm.
caught me off guard. I did not remember that. I think she's an incredible fit. Personally, I think she fits perfectly with just how strong and full all these vocals are, to then just kind of like her super airy, eerie vocals.
Mhm.
I think it's really fucking cool. I would love to see Bring Me the Horizon and Poppy do something because I think she would hit kind of that eerie, airy vocal spot as well, but just on something more recent. I
Or
think that'd
scream
be
her fucking head off, one or the
or
other.
Scream. She could fucking match Ollie Sykes, and that should be crazy. So that is a feature I would love, and that is something I thought of when I was listening to the Grimes feature. Obviously, they have Grimes on there to tie in the EDM family as well. So it's a great jumping off point for anyone who wants to get into metal from EDM or EDM from metal. It's that perfect middle ground for both of them. Polarizing album, incredibly polarizing album. As I said, all the tweets, everything that I read when this shit was coming out was either you fucking love it or you absolutely hate it and you think Bring Me the Horizon is fucking down in the dumps and the band's gonna break up because you want them to. Honestly, I'm not mad at it. I think there are a couple songs on here that I would rather like not listen to again, like Sugar Honey and Iced Tea. Um, Sugar, honey, ice, and tea. Wow, they kind of fucked that up a little bit. I fucked it up. Sorry, guys. Wonderful Life is great, and Medicine is great. Ouch is just like an interlude almost, and it's just kind of fucking weird. There's also a song that has like a 30 to 45 second just interlude at the end of it that's just kind of like chaos and like rubbish. Don't understand that. Wasn't the biggest fan of that. Um, Heavy metal was kind of corny. But then again, British rap just like never hits for me. So hearing Ollie Sykes rap was kind of just an ick. That's just me though. Shout out Ollie Sykes though. I mean, he did it well. Uh, all that to say, great record. Some points where I went, ooh, but you're going to do that if you're stepping out of the box and if you're making something that the scene still hasn't caught up with. This is still something that I don't think anyone's covered yet. So in a couple years, you're probably gonna hear shit like Amo, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, Bring Me the Horizon was ahead of it again." Who's surprised? Not me. I talked a lot. A lot of it was gibberish. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. Yeah, this album, you know, is definitely incredibly polarizing, and I still think it is even to this day. But to speak to your point, absolutely, this album would not exist without That's the Spirit, because That's the Spirit, as much as like it kind of felt like it was weird, like there's always been that transition record in their discography, and we talked about this in the That's the Spirit review. Sempiternal to That's the Spirit was kind of a weird jump. And this is also kind of a weird jump, but That's the Spirit set the scene for them to do whatever the fuck they want, which they had always done, in the guise of always being a heavy band. But then, you know, with That's the Spirit, they branched out, they started doing more pop influenced things, and that allowed them to basically just go off the rails with this record and do whatever the fuck they want. I know I wasn't following the band or really, you know, online in the scene or anything like that when this record came out. You can thank 2020 for that, really getting me into everything. But I, when checking out the bands and, you know, going through their discography, this record for me, I was so confused the first couple of times I heard it, but there was always something about it that made me want to come back to it. So even though I was confused and like unsure of what the hell I had heard, I still wanted to come back to it. And I think that is something that continues to ring true for me even now, although I have went from being confused about the album to enjoying it and it being one of my favorites in their discography.
Yeah, damn straight.
Because although it is super weird, it is not. It's got a couple heavy moments, but overall, it kind of plays with a lot of electronic elements and very pop influenced, where it's not super heavy. I think that this album is fucking incredible. This is also, I noticed, the first record that technically has an intro track with I Apologize If You Feel Something, which I think totally sets the tone for the album. They've always had incredible opening tracks. It's something I've shouted out in pretty much every review. Like, the opening song for the album always sets the tone. But But this is less of a track and more of like the intro, you know, an interlude type song, which is fine because it also fits the vibe for the album, where there are, you know, they've always had interludes throughout their records, but they'll have, you know, as you said, extended bits on songs that kind of, it's not an interlude in the sense of it's a separate track, but there is this prolonged period between the next song where they're kind of building into it. So I think, you know, and it sets the tone for the album. I Apologize If You Feel Something.
It's so fucking good. Like, imagine hearing that, like the lights go off in like a venue and you just hear that. Like, I would lose my shit. Genuinely. Yeah. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I would too, dude. And it really sets the tone for what you're about to experience with the album, letting you know that this is different.
That's weird.
Yeah. My favorites though are Mantra, Nihilist Blues, which is probably my favorite song on the album. This is a song that I will come back to. Like, even if I'm not feeling Bring Me the Horizon, I will still come back to this song. I know you said it's corny, but I like it because it's corny.
Yeah, I know you fucking like that song.
Heavy metal, dude. Come on. It's it's like the only song on the album with a breakdown, and I fucking love it. It is so corny, but I enjoy the fact that it's corny and kind of, you know, tongue in cheek in a way that it's like, yes, this album isn't heavy metal, so here's your heavy metal song. I like it. I really enjoy Mother Tongue. There's so many fantastic songs on this. Yeah, there's so many fantastic songs on this record. It's genuinely like they crafted an experience with, you know, having songs that fade into each other, you know, but not having an interlude in between them, but the interlude attached to the end and things like that. They really made an experience that, you know, has built into like this no skip experience where, yes, you can go ahead and listen to a song here or there, but to really grasp the full, you know, the full record, you really have to listen to this in full to really understand what the band is trying to do. And it's something that, you know, when I sit down to listen to this album, you know, I know, like you said, it's an hour long, but it's never felt like that for me. It just flies right by, and I always find myself finishing this album when I start it. Like, honestly, I listened to this record 2 or 3 times this morning getting ready for this, and I didn't even realize that much time had passed because I got to listen to it so many times. I woke up the same time I do every morning and turn this on pretty much as soon as I woke up, because I'm very familiar with it, so I just needed a refresher. And I listened to it more times than I think I've listened to the other ones that are the same amount of time. So I think it's like, yes, it says it's an hour, but the album actually goes warp speed. It is the weirdest feeling.
Like 20 minutes. Yeah, genuinely. Because I looked up and I was like, oh, I finished it already. I mean, I might as well listen to it again because it's so digestible. See, I keep going for the wrong thing. What is it? Not digestible.
Palatable?
Palatable? Fuck it, sure. It's so palatable because it's deeply rooted in pop. It's deeply rooted in EDM shit that your brain already knows, shit that's supposed to go fast, structures that you're already aware of, structures that you're familiar with. And I thought this was going to be like your favorite fucking record ever listening to it because you like Daft Punk so much. And this is like if Daft Punk made a metal record. And I was like, okay, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. I mean, we're going to talk about what I think is it's been a minute, so we're going to find out next week. We're going to you know, I think my favorite one is still coming up, but this is definitely up there. You know, this is a record for me that has grown on me, continues to grow on me. It's one of my favorites in the discography. I know it's an outlier. I understand why it's not something they can try to replicate or do again. It was a moment in time, and I appreciate the album for it. And, you know, I'm glad that I was able to come around and really truly enjoy this, because I think it's a wonderful body of work. And I hope that, you know, people that, you know, that are watching this that haven't heard this record, you know, go into it with an open mind, because that's really what you have to do with this album. Which is not the same feeling for really any of their other records that we've talked about or that we're about to talk about. You know, you're able to kind of just go in knowing kind of what you're going to expect, and they're going to blow your mind. But this one is like, go in open mind, because it's unlike anything in their discography and unlike anything that you'll hear past this. Incredibly solid album.
It's fucking awesome. I love Bring Me the Horizon. So much respect has been gained for them since starting this review series, and it just keeps growing. It's fucking awesome. I love this band.
Hell yeah. Well, those are our thoughts on Bring Me the Horizon 2019 album Amo. You can follow us on Twitter. It's Good Noise _cast. Instagram's Good Noise Podcast. Facebook is Good Noise Pod. TikTok is Good Noise Podcast. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. It helps us out a ton. As I said at the beginning, all of the previous reviews are linked down below, as well as the review of their most recent record, Posthuman Next Gen. You know, as I said, we're getting to the end here, so if you've got any suggestions of discographies we should dive into next, leave them down below. We love to take suggestions before we start planning out what we're going to do next. But other than that, I've been Shane.
I've been Glory.
And we've been the Good Noise Podcast. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.